For Abby and Libby, growing up in the small town of Delphi, a suburb roughly an hour northwest of Indianapolis, there wasn't much to keep two young teen friends entertained. However, they did enjoy hiking to the Monon High Bridge along a secluded wooded trail with beautiful views of Deer Creek. One such early afternoon in February 2017, the girls noticed a man dressed in blue jeans and a heavy canvas jacket that seemed to be following them. As the man approached, one of the girls noticed a gun, before the man directed them with the words, "Guys, down the hill." The following day, their bodies were discovered. Their necks had been slashed, and they appeared to have been staged in a bizarre fashion. For years, investigators searched for the man responsible for this double homicide that devastated the community. Police now believe that man was Richard Allen, and he heads to trial this month. Please join me for this special episode of 5 Things You Need to Know: The Delphi Murders. Number 1. The Murders. At 1:35 p.m. on February 13th, 2017, 13-year-old Abigail, or Abby Joyce Williams, and 14-year-old Liberty, also known as Libby Rose Lynn German, were dropped off by Libby's older sister, Kelsey, near the entrance of the Delphi Historic Trail by Mears Farm on County Road just east of the Hoosier Heartland Highway. The girls were planning to hike to the Monon High Bridge over Deer Creek, among woodland in remote Deer Creek Township. During the walk, Libby had posted photos on Snapchat of them walking along the trail. At 2:07 p.m., Libby posted a photo of Abby walking the bridge. The happy image of the two best friends is believed to be the last time they were ever seen alive. By 5:30 p.m., the pair were reported missing after they failed to meet Libby's father at 3:15 that afternoon. Their families initially searched for the girls themselves before calling the police. Authorities who quickly searched the area did not initially suspect foul play in the disappearance. This would all change the following day, when the bodies of the girls were found around noon in a wooded area about a half-mile east of the abandoned Monon High Bridge. Their bodies rested on the north bank of Deer Creek. In the years that followed, police have refused to say exactly how the girls died and have revealed few details about the crime scene. However, a trove of court documents released in June 2023 reveal new details about the murders for the first time. Both Libby and Abby are believed to have had their necks slashed with a knife, suffering wounds caused by a sharp object, according to the filings. A gun is also believed to have been used in the crime after an unspent bullet was found near the girls' bodies. According to the documents, quote, articles of clothing from the girls were missing from the scene, including a pair of underwear and a sock. The girls' bodies also appeared to have been strangely staged. Libby was found at the base of a tree with 4 tree branches of varying sizes intentionally placed in a very specific and arranged pattern on her naked body, with drippings of blood all over her body. Abby, meanwhile, was fully clothed, including in Libby's sweatshirt and jeans. There was no blood on her clothing, indicating that she was likely murdered while naked and then dressed after she was killed. Tree branches and sticks had also been arranged on her body. Evidence indicated both girls appeared to have been moved and positioned after they were murdered. Finally, Libby's iPhone, containing the now infamous video of what has become known as the Bridge Guy, was found underneath her body at the scene. The grainy image taken on Libby's phone on the trail the day the girls went missing depicted what investigators believed to be the man responsible for their slayings. As early as February 15, 2017, Indiana State Police began circulating a still image from the recovered video. The grainy photograph captures what appears to be a Caucasian male, hands in pockets, head down, walking on the trail bridge towards the girls. On February 22, 2017, law enforcement released a chilling audio recording also recorded on Libby's phone, during which the voice of the suspect, although muffled, is heard to instruct the girls down the hill. At this news conference, officials credited Libby as a hero for having had the presence of mind and fortitude to secretly record the exchange. Police indicated that additional evidence from the phone had been secured, but would not release further details so as not to compromise any future trial. By this time, the reward offered in the case was set at $41,000. On July 17, 2017, police distributed a composite sketch of someone sought as a person of prime interest in the murders. The sketch was apparently created from eyewitness accounts of a hiker on the Delphi historic trails the day the girls vanished. 2 years later, police would discount the original police sketch, and on April 22, 2019, Indiana State Police announced a, quote, new direction in the case and released a new sketch of the suspect while urging the public to look at the sketch, listen to the audio, watch how the man walks on the bridge, and send tips to the tip line email. Investigators stated they had reason to believe that the suspect might be hiding in plain sight and was almost certainly familiar with the Delphi area from living there, working there, or for other reasons. An additional plea was made for help in identifying the driver of a vehicle left abandoned off the Hoosier Heartland Highway in Delphi at the former Child Services office between noon and 5 p.m. on the day of the murders. Number 2, other suspects and Odinism. While investigating the deaths of Abby and Libby, investigators were led to several suspects, including a man named Keegan Klein. Klein was determined to have used the social media profile Anthony Shots to interact with underage girls, leading to Klein pleading guilty to child exploitation and child pornography charges in March of 2023. Yet while the social media account Anthony Shots is part of the larger case involving the deaths of Libby German and Abby Williams, Klein has not been directly tied to the case. Another man that continued to gain attention by investigators was Ron Logan. Logan owned the land on which Libby and Abby's bodies were found, and his home was just 1,400 feet from the crime scene. A warrant application for his property cites multiple complaints where he was allegedly violent toward women, and he was believed to possess multiple weapons, including handguns and knives. Logan also allegedly lied to police when first questioned about where he was at the time of the teenager's disappearance. He told investigators that he was picked up by a friend around 2 p.m. on the date the girls went missing and driven out to an aquarium store, returning hours later at around 5 p.m. Initially, a friend confirmed the alibi, before admitting 2 days later that Logan had made up the story and asked him to lie. Instead, cell phone location data placed Logan in the area around the trail at the time Abby and Libby disappeared. Police reports also indicate that Logan's voice was, quote, not inconsistent with the man captured in the video by Libby. Logan was never charged, and he died of COVID in 2020 before the case was solved. It is not clear if Logan or Klein have any connection to the man eventually charged with the double homicide, Richard Allen. In another bizarre twist, attorneys for Allen made the bombshell claim that Libby and Abby were killed as part of a ritualistic sacrifice at the hands of a white nationalist cult. In sensational court documents filed in September of 2023, Allen's attorneys claimed that the murders were committed by members of a pagan Norse religion and white nationalist group called Odinism. According to the 135-page court filing, quote, members of a pagan Norse religion called Odinism, hijacked by white nationalists, ritualistically sacrificed Abigail Williams and Libby German. The document goes on to explain, Odinism is a pagan religion, and its followers are called Odinites. Odinists are enamored with Viking Nordic culture. Evidence supports that at the crime scene, these murdering Odinites left behind obvious signatures, symbols in the form of runes. These runes were 1 formed with sticks, 2 fashioned with tree branches, and 3 painted using the blood of Libby German. The document further details, sticks and tree branches were deliberately, carefully, and proficiently placed on each girl in a certain arrangement mimicking certain runes. At least one of the branches appeared to have its end cut off cleanly by some type of tool like an electric saw, providing proof of a preconceived plan. Additionally, The blood of Liberty German was used as the paint to mark a tree with a rune that looked similar to the letter F. With a simple Google search, these runes would be identifiable as one of the many calling cards of this pagan religious cult. We should warn our viewers and listeners that the following details described are graphic in nature. The document goes on to explain the scene was ghoulish. Libby was found at the base of a tree with 4 tree branches of varying sizes intentionally placed in a very specific and arranged pattern on her naked body. Libby was positioned flat on her back with her left arm stretched above her head, touching the base of the large tree. Libby's right hand was covered in blood. Libby's left hand was covered in blood. Blood spots and blood drippings were seen all over Libby's body from head to toe. Libby's right arm was placed along the side of her body. One large tree branch had been placed on her left shoulder. This branch was so long that it extended above Libby's head several feet and below her legs for several feet as well. 2 smaller branches formed a V where her legs joined her body near her genitalia, with both sides of the V extending upward toward Libby's head, with one branch extending to the left of Libby's head and the other to the right of Libby's head. The last of the 4 branches extended across Libby's body on a line from her right shoulder to her left shoulder. This 4th tree branch was connected with the other 3 branches and was placed under both branches that formed the V. Libby's sliced neck was partially covered by this 4th branch. There appeared to be no blood sprayed or dripped onto the leaves or the trees near Libby's head and sliced neck. It appeared likely that Libby had been killed at a nearby tree and then dragged to her final resting place, where she was then positioned before having the tree limbs placed on her in a very specific pattern. The documents draw the conclusion that, quote, Libby and Abby's bodies had both been staged with tree branches and sticks across their bodies in the shape of pagan symbols, which resembled possible Odinism signatures left behind at the crime scene. While his defense attorney claimed Allen has no connection to any pagan cult, the documents take the extraordinary step of naming 4 apparent Odinites as potential suspects in the killings, none of whom have ever been named by law enforcement as suspects or persons of interest in the case. Despite these efforts, Judge Gull has ruled that Allen's defense team did not produce admissible evidence that linked Odinism or specific suspected Odinists to the killings, and thus precluded the defense from making any such arguments at trial. Number 3. Who is Richard Allen? Richard Matthew Allen was 50 years old at the time of his arrest on October 31, 2022, for 2 murder counts in the killings of Libby and Abby. Allen would have been 44 years old at the time of the murders. According to reports, Allen was a resident of Delphi, the small, close-knit town of around 3,000 people. Allen's family home, where he lived with his wife Kathy, was less than a 5-minute drive from where the bodies of Libby and Abby were found, residing in a neighborhood northwest of the Monon High Bridge. At the time, he was a licensed pharmacy technician who worked at a local CVS store. According to online records, Allen lived in Delphi since at least 2006 and in Indiana his entire adult life. Libby's grandmother, Becky Patty, told reporters that Allen once processed photos for the family at the CVS store in Delphi where Allen worked. She added he did not charge them for the photos. Local residents also reacted with shock when news broke of his arrest, saying that he seemed, quote, like a normal guy. When I will go into CVS as a customer myself, he would say, "Do you need any help?" Chandler Underhill, the manager of local brick-and-mortar pub, told reporters. He added, Allen was a regular at the restaurant, and just like a normal guy that I've seen for the last couple years, I would talk, he wouldn't say much. It has also emerged that the accused killer brazenly posed for a smiling selfie in front of one of the police sketches of the murder suspect. The photo posted by Allen's wife Kathy on Facebook in December 2021, Allen is seen smiling alongside his wife. On the wall behind him is the 2019 police sketch. Allen bears some likeness to the drawing. The selfie was posted on social media the same month. Investigators issued a fresh appeal urging members of the public to come forward with information about an online catfishing account thought to be tied to the murders. Since his arrest, Allen has faced intense media scrutiny, prompting his attorneys to request and obtain a gag order in the case. Despite the order, public filings have painted a vivid picture of Allen's life since his arrest. After being placed in the Westville Correctional Facility for safety, Allen and his attorneys filed an emergency order to have him removed from this facility due to poor conditions. His attorneys claim Allen has been sleeping on a pad on a concrete floor inside of a cell that is no larger than a dog kennel. They added he's given little, if any, time outside and forced to wear the same clothes, including underwear, for days with only 1 to 2 showers each week. They also argued that his isolation has made him unable to visit his wife or other family members, and that he's only allowed to make calls to family members through a tablet which is monitored by prison officials. 2 photos were provided as evidence supporting the motion to move Allen. One allegedly shows Allen currently incarcerated, while the second allegedly shows Allen a year or 2 before his arrest. In a handwritten letter to the judge, Allen complained that his wife was forced to leave their home in Delphi for her own personal safety. According to public records, Allen's prior criminal history provides little indication of violence, showing arrests only for 2 misdemeanors, one of driving while intoxicated in 2016 and another for disorderly conduct and public intoxication in 2011. Following up on a tip, investigators first interviewed Allen in 2017. The details were spelled out in a later affidavit. Quote, Allen was on the trail between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. He parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the new Freedom Bridge. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw 3 females. He noted one was taller and had brown or black hair. He did not remember any further description, nor did he speak with them. He walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. He did not see anybody, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker on his phone as he walked. He stated there were vehicles parked at the High Bridge trailhead. However, he did not pay attention to them. He did not take any photos or video. Investigators believe the building Allen was referring to was the former Child Protective Services building. Further investigation revealed Richard Allen owned 2 vehicles in 2017, a black Ford Focus and a 2006 gray Ford 500. The affidavit explains that investigators observed a car that they believed was the black Ford Focus at 127 traveling westbound toward the trails, which coincided with his statement of arriving at the trails around 1:30 p.m. Number 4. Courtroom Drama. Allen's trial was originally slated to begin on January 24, 2024. It has since been pushed back until October 14, 2024, after Allen's attorneys dramatically quit the case in October of 2023 amid a scandal over the leak of graphic crime scene photos. Graphic images began circulating online earlier in the month, and in a bombshell twist, it emerged that the leak originated from a man close to the defense team representing Allen. The man was a close friend of one of Allen's attorneys and had previously worked as an employee at his law firm. However, he had never worked on the Delphi case and left the firm years before. At the start of a court hearing to address the leak, attorneys Andrew Baldwin and Bradley Rossi told the court that they were quitting the case. Yet while the 2 attorneys voluntarily withdrew from the case, they subsequently claimed that Judge Fran Gull coerced them to quit in what they described as a premeditated ambush. They then asked to remain on the case representing Allen pro bono, a request which was denied by Judge Gull. The attorneys then appealed the removal to the Indiana Supreme Court, where the justices reinstated the attorneys to Allen's case, upon which the attorneys filed a motion calling for the judge to be removed from the case herself. This too was denied. Number 5. What to expect at trial. Until late 2022, little was known about the circumstances of the murders. This all changed on November 29, 2022, when Judge Gull ordered that the probable cause affidavit be unsealed. This document has shed light on what to expect at the upcoming trial. First, As discussed earlier, Libby German's phone was recovered along with what has now become one of the most crucial pieces of evidence, a video captured close in time to the murder. In it, one of the girls is seen walking southeast on the Monon High Bridge, while a male subject wearing a dark jacket and jeans walks behind her. As the man approaches, one of the girls mentions the word gun. Near the end of the video, the man is seen and heard telling the girls, "Guys, down the hill." The girls then proceed to go down the hill, and the video ends. Also significant is a .40 caliber round that was discovered less than 2 feet away from one of the girls between the two bodies. The round was unspent and had extraction marks on it. Investigators revealed that ballistics confirmed that an unspent .40 caliber round found close to the bodies of the teenage victims had come from a Sig Sauer model P226 belonging to Allen. The Sig Sauer, which the suspect owned since 2001, was found during a search of Allen's home. Both Allen and his wife Kathy allegedly confirmed that he was the only person with access to the firearm. A video was also recovered from the Hoosier Harvest Store surveillance camera that shows vehicles traveling to and from the trail's entrance at 300 North County Road. This video later proved critical in establishing a timeline of when the suspect vehicle arrived and left the location of the trailhead. Other evidence gathered in the case was taken from Allen's home after his 2022 arrest, including jackets, including the blue Carhartt jacket he wore on the trail in 2017, boots, knives, and the Sig Sauer model P226 .40 caliber pistol. The affidavit also revealed that Allen spoke with investigators at least twice, including as far back as 2017, confirming that he was on police radar at the time of the murders. In the 2017 interview, Allen confessed to being on the Monon High Bridge on the afternoon of February 13th, placing him on the scene at the same day and time that the victims went on their fateful walk. At the time, he denied any involvement in the murders and insisted he had never seen the two girls that day. During a subsequent interview on October 13th of 2022, Allen provided no explanation as to how the spent bullet ended up in between the bodies of the two teenage victims. Allen insisted he had not been on the property where the unspent round was found, that he did not know the property owner, and that he had no explanation as to why a round cycled through his firearm would be at that location. The affidavit also details multiple witnesses who were out on the trails on February 13th of 2017. Interviews were conducted with 3 juveniles who were on the Monon High Bridge trail the same day. They told investigators they were walking home on the trail toward Freedom Bridge when they encountered a man who they described as kind of creepy, wearing blue jeans and a light blue duck canvas type jacket. Investigators spoke with another witness who was alone on the trails the same day to go for a walk. As she was parking, she observed 4 girls walking on the bridge over Old State Road 25 as she drove under it. She told investigators that while walking to the Monon High Bridge, she saw a man that matched the description from the victim's phone. She said the man was wearing blue jeans and a blue jacket standing on the first platform of the Monon High Bridge about 50 feet away from her. She turned around when she reached the bridge to continue her walk. Halfway between the bridge and the parking area, she believed she saw Abby and Libby, who were headed toward the Monon High Bridge. She finished her walk and told police there were no other adults other than the man she saw on the bridge. Her car is seen leaving the trails at 2:14 p.m. The woman told police she noticed a vehicle parked in an odd manner at the old Child Protective Services building while she was leaving. Investigators also received a tip from a man who saw what he described as a purple PT Cruiser or small SUV type vehicle parked at the old CPS building. He said it appeared to have backed into the parking spot as if to conceal the license plate of the vehicle. He described it as possibly being a smart car. Investigators asked both the female walker and the male driver to draw a diagram of the vehicle they saw parked outside the CPS building. Both generally matched the area and position the vehicle was parked. Finally, investigators spoke with another driver who said she was traveling east on 300 North on February 13th and saw a man walking west on the north side of 300 North, away from the Monon High Bridge. She said the man was wearing a blue-colored jacket and blue jeans and described him as, quote, muddy and bloody, as if he had gotten into a fight. Finally, a trove of 118 court documents was unsealed on June 28, 2023, revealing that Allen had confessed to the murders to his wife Kathy while behind bars at the Westville Correctional Facility. In one April 3rd phone call, Allen allegedly admitted several times that he carried out the brutal murders. According to the court documents, quote, investigators had the phone call transcribed, and the transcription confirms that Richard M. Allen admits that he committed the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Allen's wife then abruptly ended the phone call following her husband's confession. Following the shocking April 3rd call, Allen apparently broke the tablet he used to call and text people and has not communicated with anyone in months. Finally, in a dramatic court hearing in June of 2023, both the prosecution and the defense revealed that Allen had made incriminating admissions about the murders in the 7 months since his arrest, but the nature of those confessions was not previously known. To date, the prosecution alleges that Allen has made over 60 statements that can be characterized as confessions. And in fact, Judge Gull has ruled that jurors will be allowed to hear evidence about Allen's admissions to his prison therapists, the guards, inmates, and his family members in the upcoming trial. Meanwhile, Allen's defense team have argued that his confessions cannot be trusted due to his current mental state. There are few things that disturb us more than the idea of a brutal murder of the young and innocent. 2 girls just living their lives. Best friends out for a hike in the middle of the day, doing something innocent, doing something that any of us could see ourselves doing, and to have their lives taken in that way is the type of thing that keeps us up at night. This case is a remarkable example of tenacious police work and never giving up. Initially, they had very little forensics to work with, but being determined and never saying quit eventually led to the arrest of a man who has now allegedly confessed to the murders multiple times. Our hearts break for the families of Abby and Libby. It is such a senseless crime to have stolen their lives, and we hope that they are able to see justice in the coming weeks. Thank you for joining us for this very special episode of Courtroom Confidential.